Okay, I've decided before I paint I might just do a little bit more fairing on some of these edges here. Probably most notably here where I don't think I actually did cover it over. So I thought I'd quickly cover how I do this. Now there's two ways to thicken up your epoxy that I'm aware of. One is using wood flour. This stuff I just get out of my sander, which has a little catchment thing here. And when mixing this with epoxy, it makes a rock hard kind of compound that, well, at least it dries rock hard, that can be cut, screwed. It's basically like a hardwood. And I'd use that more for gluing things together, filling in gaps when you're gluing things together. To make something that is sandable and probably less strong, I use this stuff, which is essentially talcum sort of powder. I suppose you could use talcum powder. I think that's what this essentially is. But look, I've paid the $16 or whatever it was for some of this. So I will then mix up some epoxy. These days I steal the kitchen scale and try not to get epoxy all over it. That's the safest way for measuring quantities, I find. I'm assuming they weigh the same. We do seem to be going through this one a lot quicker than that one. It always sort of worries me, but it then comes down to more a basic math thing, so I'll sort of make up. This is a 3-to-1, which is nice and easy to mix. The Norglass I like. So, you know, say 30mm plus 10mm, and I'll just work out multiples that, you know, are divisible that way. And mixing stick, I use a lot of paper cups as they're disposable, bit of rubber gloves and my scraper for putting it on. So let me get mixing. Okay, mix your talc in gradually or progressively. What you're going for is creamy peanut butter style consistency, and it will take a lot of talc. So I put in what was this, 28, so I went with 21 of or 21 grams of epoxy with 7 grams of hardener. That's the 3-to-1, and then quite a bit of talc, you know, brought it up to about here on the tin. So just keep adding it until you get to this consistency, and then that'll be easy to spread on. Okay, it doesn't really matter how you get it onto the boat. I just use the stick to spread a bit here along this line, and then I just want to use my scraper lightly to spread that across, and you can use kind of increasing degrees of spreading there, or pressure, to get the right spread. So that actually looks like it did quite well, and then you can just keep reusing the bits that are on the scraper here. So this I can then put on here, and a little bit of light scraping. Always annoying when you get bits of timber or something like that, little bits of wood from, say, your stirring stick stuck in there, so be careful of that. And there you go, that should have removed all of those imperfections. So just looking down where I've smoothed that across, you can see there. That will just then require a bit of a light sanding, if at all, depending on how well you put it. You can see I've got a little bit on the end here. Yeah, that's just simply how you can fair away a lot of these imperfections. Okay, and finally, metho. You'll go through a lot of metho in order to clean things up. I actually use a lot of these for doing these are little sample pot brushes which you can readily get from Bunnings. Wash them out with metho. It might dry a little bit hard, but then with a bit of flexing you can use one of those many times, and just clean up the tools with a bit of metho on a rag so that they can be used again. I'm just about to give the boat a quick coat. This is the Norglass Shipshape Primer. You can see there's a liquidy kind of reactant and the white paint. Now for mixing these, I'm going to use one of these cups. This is a 3-to-1, so you go to the 3-to-1 kind of measurement here. I fill it to the 5 point of paint, and then I fill it to the 5 point of reactant, and that effectively gives me a 3-to-1 mix. And you can sort of do, you know, the 4, the 3, the 2, however you want to do it. I have seen a post online where someone was saying their mix went wrong and they weighed the different components, as I showed earlier with epoxy. So in this case I'm using the measuring cup just in case they are different weights, and then give it a stir with a flat stick, a good stir. I've prepared that as well. Ensure there's no sort of little bits that are going to come off and go in your paint. So everything's prepped and we're ready to go. Now be prepared for this stuff to stink to high heaven, as I remember it did when it was drying and I used the original 2-pack paint. I've gone the full 5 in this case. I probably should have gone to 4 just to be careful. I thought it was going to be thicker, but once you put in the reactant it sort of thins it up. So I'm not sure this is going to use the whole lot, and you know, once you've mixed it you're kind of committed to using it. So let's try and put it on thick, and we'll see how we go. I just noticed in the instructions there they say once it's been mixed, allow to stand for 10 minutes before using, so maybe it'll thicken up a little bit during that time, and we'll see whether that helps us get this stuff on thick, because in its current form I can't see it obliterating surface irregularities as they advertised on their website. One thing to be aware of is this stuff does not thin with terps. You need a special thinner. I don't know whether metho would help clean it up as it does with epoxy, but that's basically why I'm using a disposable paintbrush here, because I'm anticipating that, you know, once I'm done I'm just going to toss everything. I'm also using a disposable tray here, and because this is my first coat and I want it to go on thick, I'm using this napped roller, but I'll then use the foam ones for subsequent coats, or at least once I get to the paint I'll use the foam rollers, because they're used for a gloss, and the gloss, you want that to be very smooth, and a napped roller is not going to really do that. Okay, so interestingly, it does dissolve in metho, so hopefully I can keep this brush going, and I've just sort of touched up all of the awkward areas that I'll need to get to. It does seem to dry when it's thinned out, and quite quickly, so I should be able to do kind of a couple of coats here, I guess. So let's get this roller going and see how this goes as a coating mechanism. Damn, this stuff actually dries rather quick. So I've mixed up another to the level 3 in the second mixing jar, because you can see that I didn't quite get finished here. The long napped roller was probably a bit of a mistake. I squeezed all the paint out of that as it was leaving little bits of the nap behind. Actually, here's one here. Damn it. Rapidly sticking my fingers together. Here's another bit here. Okay, that went off fast. I would recommend ripping off the masking tape as soon as you can, because you don't want that actually stuck to the boat. And you can see here on the front, I was just quickly trying to smooth down some of these areas where I used the napped roller, and it was drying so quickly it grabbed the foam roller and tore it apart and stuck to the boat. So that's something I guess I'll just have to sand back, and I've got a little bit of primer left, but yeah, that was... Okay, I got up early this morning to give the mirror a second coat, and there was just enough. So I'd say the 1 litre bottle of, or a 1 litre container of ship-shape undercoat from Norglass is just perfect for a mirror. Although if you're starting from bare ply, it's probably going to absorb a bit more. You probably wouldn't get as much with a second coat, but I think a litre would still do. Very smooth on this side, which is the one I sort of essentially sanded back and then recoated. This is the one I stripped completely. Look, they take a bit of damage when you are scraping off aggressively all of the paint and all that sort of stuff. So you can see there's some little bits here at the front. That's pretty much sitting up out of the water because it's above the bow point there, and I'm pretty sure this point here doesn't push through the water, so that's not going to be too much, but I'll try and sand and smooth those down once I start putting a couple of layers of paint on. And you can see some other imperfections here where just more or less ply was taken off while ripping the stuff apart, because the ply was pretty floury, I guess I would say is probably the best term, in the first layer. That's why I gave a good coat of epoxy to soak all that up and essentially plasticize the whole thing, because the ply was a little bit compromised given how long it had been in the weather. But yeah, we're ready to start painting soon.